Well guys, welcome back to Retired for Life. So we're back down at Art's today to do a little bit of work on the bush hog. The blades aren't very sharp anymore. As you say, kind of smoothing it out.
Yeah.
Okay, now this is going to come in that direction.
I'm going to stand back.
So I've got a screwdriver stuffed in this one so it won't swing. But you can see you don't want a really finely tapered edge on these because they do hit rocks and stuff all the time. And just like a lawnmower blade, you only sharpen it part way in. So this blade already looks quite good. So I'm going to pull the screwdriver out of here, let this blade free up, and then bring the other one up and do the same to it. So they flail around like this basically. So when this is spinning, that will make the blades come out straight, just the centrifugal force. And it also gives the blades some give. So when you hit a rock or something like that, the blade is going to swing back out of the way rather than being rigid like like a lawnmower blade. All right, we'll do the other side up and then we'll set this thing down. So it's time to put bales into storage. Art will keep a bunch of bales inside this shed to keep them well protected from the weather. And we're doing the usual of piling our bales up along quite a good hill in the other field. And of course, in this part of the country, nothing's flat. As you can see, there are rocks everywhere. And that is always so much fun to deal with. But some of these buildings, I mean, look how old that one must be with the way that one is put together. I'm guessing that that's the oldest shed or barn on the property. So this shed is getting pretty much full. That gives us about 80 bales in here. So this has been a real bumper crop this year. You really have to know how to maneuver these big tractors like this. Work in tight spaces and jam these things in. It's practically an art form. And Art does it so very well. It's really something to watch. Well, we'll get this part done, and then hopefully I can get home and get my grass cut before it rains today. Always chores to do. Certainly never get bored. Well, believe it or not, I'm actually taking a little bit of time off. So I'm on a little bit of a pilgrimage today, and I've come up to the house where I used to live in until I was about 8 years old, maybe 9 years old, I think. And it was a pretty old house then, and I'm just absolutely amazed to see what's going on with it now. It used to have just a crawl space underneath it, but they have actually gone to the point of jacking this whole place up and putting a full basement under it. And as you can see, it was old wood siding and then insul brick on top of that. And that's what it was like when we left it. It was still the insul brick. And then the next owners put this aluminum siding on it. And for quite a few years, it looked really, really run down. So I'm actually surprised that somebody is putting this kind of money into it, because boy, that would not be cheap. What a process of doing this. But anyway, it's pretty fascinating. So this house was our neighbor's house, and it is still a beautiful place. And as you can see, it's now a heritage house. But it used to be, in those days, a coal-fired furnace in the bottom of it. And I used to play in the coal chute, which got Mom quite mad at me. And we used to drink out of the well in the backyard. And I believe the well is still back there, probably not functioning anymore. It's pretty funny to come in here and look at all of this stuff, and so much has changed and so much hasn't changed. So I'm over at the Welland Canal now at Loch 7, and you can see one of the ships coming up here. So this canal's been here for quite some time and still doing a pretty good business. So I've come a little farther along the canal here. We're down at Loch 1, actually the first loch in the Welland Canal. And there's a really nice bike path along here and benches, and that's really quite a pretty spot and very popular for cyclists and runners and things, as this path goes the whole length of the canal, right from one end to the other. How's your trip going, guys? You having a good trip? So I've come the rest of the way down to Loch 1 here, where they've got a really nice spot for viewing the ships as they come through. Lots of little artifacts, like this teeny little propeller, which is about 12 feet across. And there is plaques along here that tell you about the history of the canal and the different areas that you're in. And right across from us here is the old dry docks. And you can see this ship that they're working on here. I'm not sure whether they're restoring it or tearing it apart. I can't tell at this stage, but she's obviously quite empty. And they have a Coast Guard ship actually in the dry docks. I guess they have a contract with the Coast Guard to help maintain their ships. So it's an interesting place. There's lots of history here. I always enjoy coming back and poking around and remembering what it was like way back in my younger days. So we've come down to Port Dalhousie here, and they have this beautiful old carousel, but it's still the traditional 5 cents a ride.
Welcome to the Lakeside Park Carousel. Please remain seated for the duration of the ride. Did you know that the stationary horses are actually called standers? Enjoy your ride.
You can see the lake are out there and a couple of sailboats. It's a pretty nice spot. There are Canada geese everywhere out here. They're practically a nuisance. And this is the pier that we used to come down to. My father walked out along here pretty regularly. And they have now redone it all. It used to be pretty badly broken up, but it's in beautiful shape now. We used to walk on the other side out to the lighthouse at the end. So what we're seeing here is a section of one of the versions of the old Welland Canal, which is not functional anymore. It only goes up so far and stops. But as you can see, there's a lot of pleasure craft that use it. There's a yacht club over on the other side. So there were roughly 5 versions of the Welland Canal. And this was the 4th version. So just before the one we were at yesterday with the Lakers in it. Well, I apologize for the wind noise, guys. I forgot to bring my cattail, so we'll just make this fairly brief. So we're over on the other side now, and you can see the beach over there, and it's a very nice walk out here. Despite the fact that it's hot, it is really breezy along here, so that makes it much more comfortable. And this is a very popular spot for sailboats because the wind never seems to go away in this area. It's always windy. Well, we've come out to the end of the pier where the last lighthouse is. So we're going to be heading past a little town called Actinolite, and it was about 13 weeks, 12 weeks ago. There was a storm that came through there, very localized, and the damage was pretty bad. The power was knocked out for quite some time, and our power was out for about 5 days, and we're not actually near that town. So the storm was pretty fierce, and it's still pretty amazing to see the damage that it did, all the trees that were knocked down. So I'm going to shoot out the Jeep window here as we're going by to show you the extent of some of that damage that is still visible 12 to 13 weeks later. So that storm cut a swath about 45 kilometers in length along the main highway here and through that small town. It created quite a mess, and they're still cleaning up from it. As I've said in one or two previous videos, the weather is just getting more and more strange, practically unstable.
So you don't really know what you're going to get anymore until you get it. And boy, at that point in time, a lot of people really got it. The weather reports the day after the storm came through did actually confirm that there was a tornado that touched down. And tornadoes in this area are really pretty rare, but we are getting more frequent tornado warnings as the years go by. So the weather is definitely changing around here. So all we can do is be prepared and do what we can to get through it.
Well, good morning, YouTube. So we're back from our very short little vacation break, my pilgrimage down to the hometown, and that went very nice. It was enjoyable to get away. Oh, and I would also like to give a big shout out and hello to my friend Rashad. And Rashad is also retired, and he is spending time in his orchard tending his trees with his grandson. Gotta love retired life. So that is going to be it for today's video, guys. The whole video with almost nothing in haying about it. Isn't that something? So thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you out on the trails the next time.